All right, we're bringing it over to the Supercoach side of things where it's not as rosy for myself. I did bring in Payne Haas last week and turned out to be no injury. I have Katoa, who's been on a tough little slide and picked up a 44 with an injury there, so he's out this week. So they're two players I have to deal with personally. I have Tedesco out. I brought in Crichton last week, and I also have Connor Watson. So five really top tier players out of my side. Thank goodness I have 7 trades. So you guys are here to help me make some decisions. And if I muck around with trading out Connor Watson right now in hooker, I do have Brayley's going to start this week. So I'm going to lock that in and just play him, I'm pretty sure, because of the hooking options not being of top tier variety right now with Damien Cook and Grant, really the two guys you'd want to look at. In my opinion, you got Little as a really solid guy, and you also have Tom Starling, who's a really solid option as well. Picking up an 81 and has a 70.3. 3-round average, 68 for his last 5. So if you want a cheaper guy, it is Starling. If you want one of the top tier guys, it is Cook and it is Grant. And the two guys that I've had a look at, they're both more expensive than what I have to play with in a Payne Haas situation. But this is what this video is going to be used to work out, is do I get Tom Starling and have him as my second hooker and have Watson moved into a 2RF situation, trading out a Katoa, a Haas. I've got Curran that I can move up into front row forward. He's also in doubt this week as well. So it could be finally the week that Kai Peace-Paul gets a try and we can have him plugged in and playing there for our side. And also have Smithies, who might not be playing this week with that concussion that he suffered as well. So plenty to look at. We do have Willison, who's likely to get some more minutes as well, which is ideal. But Starling, definitely a cheaper option that we could use as a downgrade for Payne Haas to then upgrade in another slot, or we downgrade elsewhere and we get Grant or we get Cook. I think they're your 3 options in the hooking position. Straight swap for Payne Haas, that is the question. So I only have 2.3k available, and if you're looking at scores from last week, Samuel Afenu tops that list, and then Joey Tarpany at 652. So if you're going straight to averages now, Joe Tarpany's up in that 4th position, well 3rd now of players that are actually available this week, and he's a terrific straight swap there. Adam Blake and Mitch Barnett both have a bye to come. Joe Tarpany will play every game from here on in, so I think Joe Taps a 652. He is pretty high on my list as a trade in this week in that front row forward position if you were interested in a straight swap from Haas, or if you needed to upgrade in that position. I do think Terrell May, if he didn't sell last week, you probably just hold again and work it out from there. But if he's obviously, you need another front row forward, then Terrell May could be a sell on that front there as well. Moving down the list, you're looking at averages in the front row forward is not very high. So I wouldn't be banking on any of these guys to come out and do a cracking job for you. So we're going to move on straight to the front row forwards, straight to the 2RF slot there. So for Feeder, Curran, Katoa, Crichton, Kai Peace-Paul and Smithies. With Crichton out, it looks a bit bleak there with Eli Katoa injured as well. And we don't have the final news on Eli, but it could be anywhere between this week being out and also up to about a month of footy. So we'll find out soon. He did go out and play some more time after the he got strapped up and got sent back out there again. For myself, I do have the top 3 averaging 2RFs, but one of them I'm likely to sell this week in Eli Katoa. So if I did muck around and went Starling, I think I've got enough cash to get me into the 700s, which is cool. But not a lot of these guys, apart from Barnett, are in a real high situation there, with Hamoli Alakuatu being a guy to potentially target at 652 if you need a 2RF. There in that situation, you've got Isaiah Yeo, a really solid one that we spoke about last week in the 590s. Jeremiah and I didn't actually start last week and thankfully scored 62 in the end with a try assist for anyone who did jump on. You've got Keon there under 700k now, is not too bad. Pat Carrigan a 75 last week, and if you're not too stressed about your Broncos guys, I think he's going to be a guy to play 80 minutes every week and go really well base stat wise especially, and will just do a job for you at 536. So he's an easy one that you could downgrade to as well. That could help you get up in another position. Jacob Preston, a really solid guy to have, a 625.9 thousand bucks. So yeah, slot him in if you need to as well. Unfortunately, Beau Fermor's out. It could be this week only. It could be next week as well. That's a small worry for him. Dylan Lucas you're holding on to, given they play the Tigers this week. Curran, just be aware that you may have to move him to your bench and just have some cover there as well in the front row forward or the 2RF position. I think Murray you probably avoid, and you'd go for Carrigan before Murray, even though Carrigan is out next week with a bye. There's not too much else to talk about in that second row slot. It's there's probably 5 or 6 guys you want to look at. And if you don't have Fafita yet, a 733 has the massive upside. And then you look to get like a Crichton next week from there as well. Yeah, it's pretty simple in the 2RF. If you're looking at the halfback slot, you just got to make sure you do have Cleary. If you're in my situation with Cleary and also Hughes, I think you're fine just to hold. You've then got guys like Walker having a really good 3-game stretch. I think he's a hold there as well. DC, the big guy you might want to target, along with Matt Burton there in the halfback slot, or if you want to have a bit of fun with SJ there with his 67 last week, and there's a good chance of, at 440k, doing a good job for his last month of footy before he does retire. So thank you for your service, SJ. You've been great, and you've had some incredible stretches of Supercoach scores as well. So good stuff there from him. They're the 3 guys I'd look to target. And then you're looking at the 5'8 slot. I've got Campbell and Plath, both clear holds, I think, now, after that awesome score from Plathy. If he can do that on a regular basis, things will be great. Dylan Brown, Galvin, all seem like holds now after the scores that they're throwing out. Burton, as I said, still a potential buy. Walker's back next week, but probably avoid. Gray's obviously a hold after his really good score. And that's all we'll talk about from the 5'8 slot. It's pretty, nothing special in there for sure. For the centre wings, Greg Marzou, a really interesting buy at 541 this week. I think he's going to be great. Garrick, 648, a good little price. Sako might not play this week either, so looks like he's been named and hopefully is okay. But do you play like Casey McLean over Sako? It's getting to that stage. Do you sell a Sako? If you have the ability with trades available and no injured guys, I think Sako is a great upgrade. If you've got Tungo, if you've got McLean, they're obviously cheap guys and probably not enough in your bank to upgrade. You got Holmes and Iro doing good stuff. So if you were to upgrade Jermaine Asako this week, let's go through those options. And you've got Val at 78.7, the average, after a cracking week last week. Does come up against the Broncos. I think it'll be a fun clash there for sure. Him, Zach Lomax, and then Carraz are still, I think, the top 3 buys. They're the most expensive, except for Lomax, they're down to 667. They're the guys this week. And if you want to wait till next week, then it likely is Joey Manu at 574, a super cheap player to grab, and should do really, really well. Toa picked up a 68, which was solid. As I said, Garrick could be an option at 648, or do you wait another week? That's probably the only spot I'd go with the centre wing right now. You do have Karapani, who is going to be back on the wing this week, so he's the cheap guy to grab if you want to cash out that could be playing for you. That's where I'd be looking there. Both of them are a little bit of a frustrating one. Phil Sami averaging 82 over his last 3, 69 over his last 5. He could be a fun one to grab as well. So there's a few options across the board in that one that could all do a decent job. Slightly have a bit more upside than what Asako has right now, but we do know that over the years, or last year especially, Asako has the tons in him. For your fullback slot, if you do have a lot of trades, if you're sitting like 9 or 10, you could trade Tedesco and jump on Ponga this week. I would definitely understand that, given he does have the Tigers this week and goal kicking. Cracking scores last week from Drinkwater and Holmes as well, but they don't come up against the Tigers this week, so probably wouldn't target them this week. You've got Walsh, who's going to have to try and do a lot there. Keeney, another 124. Wow. Incredible effort. Chance with a nice score. But I think Ponga's the target this week is 648. There's no real clear other option in this fullback slot that I would be going for outside of Caitlin Ponga. So just make sure to look at him. And if you want to go for that play, you could definitely do it. Don't know if you'd trade Tedesco for it, given Tedesco's got a terrific run the last month of footy. But if you want to do a bit of a roulette, you could do that. But I don't think in this scenario, if you've got Turbo and Ponga then, that you'll be able to get back to Tedesco. So you're only doing it if you really need a big score this week to help you win one of your head-to-head matchups, because I don't think you're getting him back in. You'd be riding with Tommy and you'd be riding with Kaylin, given Tommy in a couple of weeks plays the Tigers as well and could go absolutely bonkers. So fun little week, that's for sure, in the Supercoach landscape. I've got a couple out. I'm sure you guys do as well. If you've got lucky with it, hopefully you can hold a trade or two this week and ride off into the sunset and hopefully get a better score. I've been very much holding steady in recent history and sitting just inside the top 2.5k. Hoping to get down to about 2,000 this week and beat my last year's score and average, season rank of just over outside the top 2,000. So if we can do that, I'll be happy inside the top 2k. It's been a roller coaster year for sure on the Supercoach side. Hopefully we can continue to improve in this like I have been in fantasy. So I hope that helped you guys with your buy, hold, risk, sell, and we'll move into round 23 with plenty of optimism, and I wish you all the best of luck.